Hi, this is Greg of Pensacola, Florida. I'd like to welcome you to my YouTube channel. Tonight, we're going to talk about the Makergear M3. I got the Makergear M3 on August 12th, and it has been printing almost consistently ever since. I think I have over 800 hours on it now. I've done a collaboration on a Kickstarter with it, and this printer just hasn't quit. So I just want to show you guys the printer because I know I talked about it in another video, and just give you a look at it a little bit closer. It looks a lot like my M2. There's some upgrades, definitely some upgrades that are on this printer, like the cooling system, the true leveling system, and down here we have a Octoprint. And so I was just going to take a minute and actually talk to the camera for a minute and then kind of focus it down, and we'll show off a few of the prints. And then I did two voiceovers, one showing just a picture unboxing of the Makergear, so you know what to expect. I do a little narrative on that. It's about 5 minutes long, and then we'll run it right into a Octoprint demonstration of what the Makergear Octoprint for Makergear looks like on this printer. So both those voiceovers, one's about 5 minutes, the other's about 7 minutes, so they'll be right after this. But the first thing I wanted to say is thank you to Makergear, and I also want to say thank you to my subscribers and the people that have bought a Makergear because of this channel. I talked to Rick in April, and he's the owner of Makergear, and I said, hey, I'm looking to get a second printer for the channel. And at that time I was trying to just maybe get a kit or something like that I could purchase and bring down here. And he said, hey, we're going to come out with the M3. Why don't I send you one? You can use it for a while, go ahead and bang on it. I'll get your feedback on it. So I got the printer in August, right? I think it was August 12th. I think it was when a box came, or when I took it out of the box. And this thing has been printing non-stop ever since with zero issues, which is exactly what I expect from any Makergear printer. So just let me give you some quick specs on the printer. It looks a lot like my M2. It definitely does have some upgrades on it. Right up here at the top is the new cooling system. And when I do the unboxing, I get some really good close-up pictures of different components on the printer. And so I'll zoom in on that, a little bit here, but you'll get a really good picture of it with the camera. So this is the one piece I wish I could bring over onto the M2, that cooling system, it's quiet, it's smaller, and it definitely works better than the cooling system that's on the M2 printing at the bed. So they did a really nice upgrade to this. I'm hoping somewhere down the road that this feature here can be pulled over there. It's got a true leveling system on here. So this uses the software inside Octoprint to help adjust your bed and level it. My bed was perfectly level coming right out of the box, so I haven't had to touch it, at all. And I still maintain the same thing I do with the M2. I never take a print off the bed, one, when it's hot, and two, when it's on the printer. I always let it cool down, and either it lifts right off when I touch it, or I take the glass off and pop it off with the scraper. And then down at the bottom here, and I'll put the camera down here in a minute, it's got the Octoprint for Makergear. And like I said, I do a voiceover video where we actually go ahead and we look at this software, which will be in this video here just a little bit later on. But I just wanted to give a huge thank you out to Makergear for letting me borrow this printer for a while. I'm going to keep running it and keep printing on it until they send me a UPS tag that says it's time to go back. So we got a lot of printers in the house now that are really starting to churn out a lot of terrain. I'm working with 3 or 4 designers at a time now, so I'm almost dedicating a printer to a designer now, for the channel, because the channel kind of took a turn in the tabletop gaming terrain somewhere along the way. So if you're new here, this is what we do on the channel now. I work with designers, we review Kickstarters, we print tabletop wargaming terrain and tabletop, just gaming terrain in general. And the Makergears are the featured printers here. So let me tilt the camera down a little bit. We'll talk about what's in front of me. You'll get a little bit closer look at the printer, and then we'll hit those 2 videos really quick. And I'll try not to make this 40 minutes long, but stick around. Right, so I just wanted to go over the unboxing really quick, and this isn't going to be some live video or anything like that. I just got a bunch of pictures that they show pretty good of what you can expect if you order a Makergear. One, you can expect it to get right on that UPS truck and head down to you. UPS guy will drop it off. You have to sign for it. My dog right there, that's Theodore Dobson, Defender of the Realm, first of his name, was a little disappointed that it was not the Papa John's pizza guy, but I was pretty excited because it was another printer in the house. So again, it comes in a super heavy duty cardboard on there. It is a little heavy. So if somebody else is getting the package for you, just let them know that the box is heavy. Just like the Makergear M2, this printer was packed absolutely phenomenal. There was no damage, no denting, no anything. This black foam that it is packed in is super dense. I mean, it is really hard to squeeze together. It does not break apart, so you don't have to worry about any pieces ending up inside your extruder gears, or like the white, foam that if you rub your hand against it, it goes all over the place. So absolutely phenomenal job with the packing. Just another shot of that. This is that box that's on the side. I'm going to come back to this in a minute. We'll go over what's in that. So that's the box removed, and this is the box exposing a little more of the extruder mount, and you can see the linear rail sitting right there. I take that next piece of foam off, and here we go. So then you've got your carriage where the heated build plate in your glass is going to go. If you see that, that's secure right here inside this foam. Flip the box around the other way so you can get a look, and then if you look right here, I'm hoping my mouse is showing. This is wedged right in there, so this bed does not move during transit at all. Great. It's absolutely a great thing. And then this is on the box. When you open up the lid, it talks a little about the printer, the community, stuff like that. And this is what comes in that box. So this is pretty neat. You've got a roll of filament, which is a full 1 kilogram roll, the power supply for the printer, the plug that you plug in the wall, your tools, and this right here is pretty neat. I think I got a picture of it coming up, but let me see what we got. Another picture of the inside of the box. This right here, I'm pretty sure this is printed on the independent dual. So the Makergear M3 comes in 2 variants. You got the single extruder version like I have, and then you have the independent dual, which is 2 independent print heads on the printer. So I'm pretty sure this is a print off that. It's pretty cool. I'll keep it on my desk. This was so happy, and I'm so heartbroken on there. I am a coffee cup guy. You want to send me something, send me a cool coffee cup, because I love coffee cups. My wife hates that they end up filling up the cabinet with nothing that looks alike, but I was so excited to get this cup. And I don't know if it's old age because I'm almost 50 years old, but I'm out there loading the dishwasher and this thing shot out of my hand and shattered about a week and a half ago. So sad. I drank all my coffee out of this cup. You can't buy it on the website, or I would buy like 6 of them on there. But you get a coffee cup and it's really cool, and don't let it fly out of your hands like mine did. The tool set right here. So basically when you get this printer, you're hooking up the power supply, you're laying the heated bed and the glass on the print plate, and you're hooking up the spool holder, and you're ready to go. They talk about quick setups with some of these other printers out there. This one is really quick. Makergear filament. This is their official filament. You usually get black. The Makergear M2 and M3, I've gotten black filament, and it's a full kilogram, 1.75 millimeter. Just verify your voltage on here. Big old power supply. Same power supply it's on the M2. And here we go with the carriage. So you're going to take this piece of foam out. Right there it comes out. And this right here, this is the new cooling system. This is one of the big differences between the M2 and the M3 is this new fan. 1, it's quiet. 2, it does a way better job of getting the air where it needs to go. And I hope at some point down the line that they retrofit, or they let us buy this piece right here and this fan system so that we can put it on the M2. I really, really like this cooling system. That's the one thing I wish that I could reverse over onto the M2 is this cooling system right here. They put this little screen in front of the fan because in 2 years of owning my M2, I have shattered 2 fans by dropping filament into them. So that's a really cool thing right here, and it stops dust from building up on those blades. This fan is super quiet. I mean, you can barely even hear it. That blurry picture right there is supposed to be the Octoprint. Okay, yeah, here's your Raspberry Pi that has Octoprint loaded on it. So if you look at my M2 and M3 on the frame, this is one of the big differences you see right here. So that's all loaded in there. Stop, make sure you read all this stuff. The usual stop and read. that no one ever reads. And this is what it looks like. This one sexy machine. I am telling you right now. It is a beautiful machine. It very similar in frame to the M2. It just improvements, these subtle improvements in the cooling with the leveling, the Octoprint down below. You can use it wireless. You can use it hooked up via LAN. And there it is with the build plate on there. I'm sure in the beginning of the video I talked about it, but I just shattered one of these the other day. I was cleaning the hairspray off it, and again, it shot out of my hands for some reason and shattered right on my kitchen sink. So I ordered a brand new one to replace it, but this comes with a piece of Kapton tape on it. If you've seen my earlier M2 videos, you know how I am about the Kapton tape, so I really tried to give this a like, and I did like it for anything that kind of hung out in this part of the bed. But when I started filling the bed up front to back, hairspray just holds on so much better up front, you know, and so I yanked the cap top tape off, and I'm using hairspray just like I do on the M2. I got my purple can of Aquanet, spray it on there. I run 6-7 print jobs across that same plate with the Aquanet on it, and nothing lifts, and we're good to go. So spool holder for the filament. That's the filament on the spool holder. Right back here, here's the Raspberry Pi. I don't know which version of it's in there because I'm kind of ignorant when it comes to this stuff here, so I'm learning along as I'm using this machine on here. But that's, you know, I got a network cable hooked up on here. I had it on wireless earlier, but I got a pretty big house, and my wireless is out in the one living room, and I'm clear across the house in my office, and so I usually run Ethernet over power line through the whole house, and so that's how I have this running now. And there it is on my desk on the back corner, ready to go. And another print picture from up front. That's extruding. That's me loading the black filament on there. And right there, this is your first print. I know I recorded the Octoprint video right before this one, so I showed this STL file, but this takes like 3 minutes to print, and this is your first test print when you're done on there. So it looks good. But if you've been around this channel, we do wargame terrain here, so that's not wargame terrain, that's wargame terrain. So this is my test print. This is my benchy. This is from Andrew at Warlayer. I slapped that on there and let that go, and that's on the Kapton tape at the time, and it printed beautiful. I have done nothing to the printer but put the build plate and the glass plate on and hooked up the power and loaded the filament and printed. This is how it came out of the box. I didn't level the bed. I didn't do anything, and I haven't had to do anything since. This is how it came to me, so super happy with how that is. So that's it. That's my unboxing of the Makergear M3. Now back to the video. Alright, so what I wanted to bring up on my screen is actually show you Octoprint for the Makergear. This is a custom version of Octoprint that was developed by Makergear. Octoprint is an open source software, and that's about all I knew about it before I got the Makergear M3. And so I just wanted to run through this, the screens real quick, show you a few things that it's got on here. So if you do buy one of the newer Makergears, the M3 or the M3 Independent Dual, you can expect that this is what your Octoprint screen will look like. So on the initial screen here, you got your Makergear set up. And so when you get the printer, you're gonna run through the full setup of checking your bed level. My bed, I didn't have to change anything. And so once your bed is leveled, your setup button turns to a quick check button, and that's what this is right here. So if you click on that, it'll say, you know, you want to do all your setup features and things like that. Well, my bed is level right now, so I don't want to run through this and change anything. So, but this is if you thought maybe your bed was out of level, you would click this, and like I said, it's a 10 to 20 minute process that it'll do some test prints on there and bring your bed back into level. Temperature screen right here is where I can set my my hot end and my bed temp. So if I'm going to change filament or something like that, I can manually set it right here. And also when you initiate your print file, you'll see the temperatures and you'll be able to monitor it here on the screen. The control, this is where you can do your Z, up, down, X, Y. You can put in how much filament you want to extrude or retract. I usually set that to 50 when I'm pulling it out and then putting the filament in. You can take your stepper motors on or off, or turn the fan on and off, and you can adjust the feed rates on the fly. So you got some overrides and things like that. I haven't played with any of this stuff down here. The Octoprint, when I first got it, I'm almost 2 years into with the M2. I just slapped the SD card in there and hit print and walk away. This was a pretty big change of pace. I wasn't a huge fan when I first got the printer, just because it was kind of different. I hadn't used this before, but the more I'm using it, the more I like it. Now, I don't do any of my slicing in Octoprint. I've had Simplify 3D since day one, and that's not going to change. I'm not going to change from slicing out of that to slicing into this, but I will show you that this does have a built-in slicer and stuff like that. So, G-code viewer. Sometimes there's things here, sometimes there's not, depending if I have an STL file loaded up. So, and it'll give you your slice view and stuff like that. Terminal, this is kind of like in Simplify 3D when you're connected to the printer by USB. It's talking back and forth, giving the temperature and stuff like that on the printer. So, and then you can suppress some of the messages and things. And then time lapse, I think this is for your camera if you have a camera hooked on. I would like to get a camera where I can do time lapse on this printer that maybe is built into Octoprint. I just picked up an external camera, kind of a knockoff GoPro, where I can do time-lapse photos. So I'm kind of using that right now, but I know that you can do it from within Octoprint itself. And then over here, you've got a drop down, which is a Makergear maintenance. I think they just added this because I don't remember seeing this in the last update. I think maybe this got added, or I just completely missed it the first time. And this is how you can adjust your Z offset with a hot or cold bed, and bed leveling, hot or cold. And you can do your filament loading also right here. So I may need to play around with this a little bit if my Z offset needs to be changed or anything like that. But usually if I'm messing around with my Z offset, I set it in the Simplify 3D. And then you've got your slicer. And so now the screen's black, of course. I think the screen went black because of the screen recording software I've got going on. So let me try refreshing this and see if it comes back. Slicer. There we go. This is what it normally looks like. So you can hold the right mouse button down and pan and things like that. When you do your very first print, the very first print that you do is this Makergear key tab right here. I mean, this takes less than 2 minutes to print. And if you look down here, you've got the Cura engine that it's using as a slicer, the profiles, after slicing, you've got options and things like that. And then you got your basic settings right here that you can override. So 215 is normally what I print the Makergear filament at. So that's what it's set as. Right now I've been running nothing but MakerGeek's filament through this printer. And so I print at 225 with that filament because it prints a little bit closer to ABS temps with their PLA versus say the eSun that I run on my M2, which prints at 200. So you can set your settings here. You got your advanced settings, and then you've got the start and end G code. And so what I did is I grabbed the start G code that was listed in here and I copied it over into Simplify 3D. And so that's what I use when I compile over there, because this one doesn't slide quite as far off the right hand side, I don't believe, because it doesn't do the purge the same as the M2 does. It just stops. I mean, it's probably a millimeter closer. So to keep the filament from touching the side of the glass bed, I sat there and used this starting G code here in my Simplified 3D. And as you'll see, you get announcements and updates and all kinds of other stuff over here. I usually just concern myself with the Makergear announcements. But the best part that I like is I have some organization of my files. So if I need to come back and, stuff I'm working on or stuff that I'm doing on here, like this 3D Wargaming, there will be a video probably right after this video comes out. This is a Kickstarter that just launched. Adopt-A-Bot. We're going to print a Adopt-A-Bot printer that's run by PrinterBot, and we're going to print that on the Makergear M3. As a matter of fact, that's already printed, so I'm not sure where I put this video inside the other video, but you're going to see it during this video. This is something else I'm working on for a guy for Kickstarter. Castle Grimskull is, printablescenery.com. I did a bunch of lithopanes that came out really cool. The Mega Maw, that was from the Kickstarter I collaborated on with Worlds Overrun. Terrain for Print, War Layer 2.0, the World's Overrun file. So all this stuff is right here. You can just click on it, you know, and then here they are. So you got G-code files in here, and you can upload raw STL files. So like in this directory right here, you see the G-code ones are green, and then the STL files are right there. So let me take this one off. So if I wanted to bring in a file, I'm going to drag it over here and let it go, and you see it uploaded and it's saving it right now. Now I have my Octoprint connected by I'm on a direct hard line, not through the wireless. I like the speed of being able to connect to it through the LAN wire versus wireless, so I like this quite a bit. So right here I could change these settings, and if you saw in the video, this is what I consider my test print. You know, they do the keychain, I print a piece of gaming terrain on there, so that's right here. So within here, you've got functions to rotate it. So, you know, if I want to do something crazy like that, or, you know, you got scaling options right here. Oops, I could delete it like I just did. If I could hit this wand, it should load it, the STL file back. And I deleted everything. I don't know what I'm doing. All right. So let me bring it back. This is the option I was looking for. So if I wanted to duplicate something, I can add one. So it should make another one onto bed and position it to print. So, I mean, this isn't bad on there. I've used it, but I've had varying results on there. I like my settings control, especially if anything needs supports. The control I have over everything that I do with the printer in Simplify 3D. But this is here. So if you don't have Simplify 3D, you know, this is absolutely an option that you can use on there. And then when you're ready to go, you know, when it's all good, you just come down here and hit slice it, and it'll turn those STL files into G-code, and then it's going to load them up here. You'll see it right there, and you'll hit print, and away it'll go. So this is Octoprint for the Makergear. It's its own custom version. There's some stuff up here that's just, you know, behind the scenes settings and stuff like that. If you get a printer, go ahead and click on it. You've got, you know, you can reboot the system, restart Octoprint, restart in safe mode. It's got its own console and stuff on there for all those Linux guys or whatever that like putting in all those sudo commands and stuff on the command line. But, you know, for me, I like the functionality that I have over here. I can organize the stuff I'm working on, and if I need to come back and print it again, I can hit it. So it's a nice addition to the printer. If you're coming from like I did from the other printer where you're just slapping the SD card in and away you go, if you haven't used Octoprint before, it seems like it's an extra step at first, but now that I've used this for 3 or 4 months on there, I kind of really like it. I don't know if at some point I may try to I have an extra tablet. I may try and put Octoprint on the tablet. The thing you can't do is you cannot download this version of Octoprint. It's not released, the Makergear version that I know of, so you can get it. Because one of my friends has a Makergear M3 and he runs Octoprint, and he really would like to get a hold of this version of Octoprint for the bed leveling and stuff like that. But I think that that's inherent to this printer and this setup because the leveling system on the M2 is different on there. So that's what we got. We're going to flip back to the video now, but I just wanted to show you the Octoprint for Makergear, and appreciate you watching. Thanks. All right, I pulled the camera in a little bit. This is what the normal view you're used to seeing on this channel is down on the table, looking at the terrain. If the table doesn't look even, is because I have a mat over a project I'm working on, so I do not want to disconnect everything that's underneath this mat and have to put it all back together again. And that, again, is for a designer on a Kickstarter video that I'm working on. So, but let's talk about the Makergear. I show this piece off right here a few times on there. This is my benchy, basically. This is a War Layer crate, and this was my first print. Now, when you do your setup, you're going to print a keychain tab, and I do a picture of that, and I show the STL file later on in the video. But I just wanted to show you guys what the physical print looked like in my hand. So I printed a little keychain thing just to make sure the bed is level, and then I slapped this on there right on top of the Kapton tape, let it go, and it came out absolutely perfect. Another example print that came off this is Castle Grimskull. This is by printablescenery.com. And so this is one of the early prints here. It's multiple piece, no supports, and I'm off view. oops, as usual. So I just want to show it right there. Did a great job. This is using a Makergear filament that came with the printer, just like this is right here. You'll see that this is a piece of Kapton tape. This is how the print beds come when you order them from Makergear. This is a brand new bed on here, because in the video I talk about I do use hairspray on my build plates just because I like the way it sticks. But I shattered one of the build plates the other day because I can't seem to hold on to anything anymore. And so this just came in the mail. So I put it back on the printer because this is what it will look like when you get it from Makergear. Again, more terrain. I mean, just take a look at the print quality that's coming off the printer. I haven't leveled the bed. I haven't changed, other than, my normal temp settings, and I'm using the same print profiles that I'm using on the M2. And I thought this is going to be fun here. I'm going to pick these up. Let me put that here and then grab these plates. What you're looking at here, these are the prints for what's called an Octoprint printer bot. The company Printerbot's another American company. They're doing an Octoprint program to get printers into schools. And so this is a mostly 3D printable printer, and I have a box of the electronic components over there because I did part of the phase 2. So we're printing the Octoprint on our Makergear. That's pretty cool. I told my buddies that, and they're like, what? It's printing the 3D printer? But these are prints that came off the M3. They're still on here. This is why I like hairspray, because I don't have to worry about my prints popping off. But this is a beautiful quality. This is all printed at 60% infill. This is the Maker Geeks filament. I've been using that quite a bit lately. I've been really liking it. And, so that's something you're going to see on this channel here, because that printer is going to go to my wife's classroom. And so I have another printer here also that's going to go to my wife's classroom that I'll show in a later video also. But obviously I'm not going to send a $2,000 printer into a 6th grade classroom, so I'm getting some less expensive printers here to maybe help outfit her classroom and start a 3D printing club here in July. But again, I just wanted to say thanks to Makergear for sending this down and letting me bang on it for a while. It's a phenomenal printer. I've been using the Makergear M2. It's the best money I ever spent. And if you ask, why do I want to spend that money? It's because for 2 years and almost 10,000 hours now, I have printed on that M2. And that 2-year review is coming next month. And I only had to replace a little $9 piece on top of that printer in 2 years. Other than that, that thing prints every day of the week, and it just doesn't let up. So the money I spent on that printer is the best money I have ever spent, period. And if you buy an M3 and the M2 is still for sale also, I would expect that your experience would be the same. That 10,000 hours later, you're still printing. The only, you see a lot of the Facebook groups with the different printers, and the first thing they do is they start printing all these upgrade parts for your printer. The only thing that I printed on the M2 is a tool holder. That printer is still stock 2 years later, and it's still printing 7 days a week. The M3, I haven't printed the tool holder yet, but because I just use the tools off the M2 if I need them, it's printing 7 days a week on there. These printers do not let up. The new M3, just to give you some specs off it really quick before I talk for 50 minutes, it's a 203 by 254 by 203 millimeter, so 8 by 10 by 8 approximately. Uses a 1.75 millimeter filament. Has a true level calibration system, which I'll show you a little bit. I'm not going to re-level the bed because my bed's not auto level, but I'll talk about it in the little Octoprint segment of this video. It prints ABS, HIPS, nylon, PET-G, PET-T, PLA, polycarbonate, PVA. I've been doing all PLA since I've had my printer. I do have a couple rolls of ABS down there, and I do have a roll of PETG. I may start experimenting with them a little, but I print so much for this channel that I don't want to start messing around with different filaments when I'm on a time schedule. I'm trying to hit different marks for different developers to make sure that their videos can come up on this channel. What else has it got? Octoprint for Makergear, STL OBJ files. It's 19 kilograms shipping weight. The 220 on the print head. It's a 0.35 millimeter nozzle. It's less than 2 minutes, 70 degrees on the heated bed in less than 4. So it heats up quick. The print head heats up quick on there. And I've had no issues in 800 hours with any of the filament going through it. No filament jams, just no issues. And I don't expect to have any issues, with this printer coming out of the box. The one big difference, this comes with a 1-year warranty out of the box. Upgradable to 3. So I know this is mostly a wargaming tabletop terrain channel, so this printer is at the high end of a print budget on there. But like I said with the M2, if you have the budget, the Makergear is a phenomenal first printer, because this is the printer that's going to keep on printing on there. So if you play around with some cheaper printers later on and if they go down and they break and you're printing upgrade parts, guess which printer is going to keep printing? Your Makergears on there. So huge thank you to Rick for letting me borrow this and playing around with it for a while. A huge thank you to my subscribers, because they have a referral program that if you buy a printer and you mention my channel, I get $100. You get a partial gift card. I get a $100 gift card that I can spend on their site. I buy filament with it. Right now I'm buying filament in the 15 rolls at a time for Makergear, because I can get a pretty good price on it. But each printer is going through at least a full roll a week, if not a roll and a half. So I'm churning through filament now. So I really do appreciate the people that do mention the channel when they buy a printer. It's a nice little bonus to be, because I get that card, and if you've ever looked at the emails, I get the gift card, and within 5 minutes later, I've ordered 4 rolls of filament, and I just pay whatever the difference is, over $100, and have it shipped in. So huge thank you. I've had double-digit referrals, on the people that have bought the M2. And I don't think anyone who's bought it has regretted it on there. I know it's the best money I've spent. I had to talk the wife into, hey, it was $2,000 I spent at the time on there. I don't even think she thinks twice about it. The amount of money I've saved on wargaming terrain from this printer has been absolutely huge. But so this is what it looks like. It looks like the M2. I just wanted to say thanks to Rick and the guys at Makergear. Phenomenal product. You're going to see, as long as they let me keep it here, I'm going to keep pumping out terrain, the made on Makergear stuff. So when, I have more of this stuff to show, I just can't slam it all on this table right now. The made on Makergear series, so as stuff is getting made on the printers, I'm going to show it off on there. So, and I'm also going to do some giveaways too. So stay tuned. I got another video coming up on that. So if you guys want to get your hands on some of this terrain that I'm printing, so I can get some room back in my house, stay tuned and subscribe to the channel. So I'm going to flip into 2 voiceover segments right now, and these voiceovers are just a quick unboxing to show how the box comes. It's 5 minutes on there. It's nice to see how it's packed and what you can expect if you order a printer from here. And then I go over the Octoprint for Makergear. So 800 hours in, haven't even had a hiccup. Expect it to go to 8,000 hours if it's still here that long, and don't expect to have any issues with it. So great printer, great product, great company. If you have the budget for this type of printer, you will not be sorry that you spent your money on a Makergear printer. So I'll have links to the website, and I'll have a little note down there about and a link to their rewards program. So if you do buy one and you happen to mention my name, I do appreciate it. Everything, affiliate links or anything that I post like that, all 100% goes back into the channel, because I spend way more on filament and stuff showing you guys these prints than the big YouTube dollars. So, but again, I appreciate it. Thank you, Rick. Thanks to subscribers. If you're new here, if you just came in to see the M3, stick around, because subscribe to the channel, because it's going to be shown quite a bit. So I thank you guys, and I will see you soon.